for a couple of weeks on AI and bots. And some of you have been to all of those conversations. Others of you, maybe this is your first one, or maybe you were at one of the others. But we've talked about just the general value and the concept behind AI and bots. We've talked about how AI and bots are changing customer service. And now we're going to talk about how AI and bots are changing sales and marketing. Now, the goal of these presentations, of these web classes, is to help you understand a couple of things, really two things. Number one, that there's tremendous value in AI and bots, so much so that it is going to change our world in big ways. Like we've talked about how the internet changed the world. AI and bots is going to absolutely transform a lot of the things that we do in our businesses, in our industries, and in our lives in general. And so we want you to be ready for that. We want you to understand that these changes are coming and that there is great value in this technology. We want you to be wise, be a wise voice in your company and in your industry about these technologies, and lend a wise voice to the decisions you make about these technologies. It'll have great benefit for your career, and it will be a great benefit to your company and your industry as well. Now, if you want somebody else's opinion on this, this is W. Brian Arthur, who is one of the premier economists of our generation. He was the first one to kind of encapsulate the whole idea of increasing returns in economics, which was not really something that economics understood. As a matter of fact, it broke most of the fundamental laws of economics, which is that something can go viral. So that's kind of the popular word. The law of increasing returns is the economics word, and he was the first one to describe that. So he's a really smart guy. He's been one of the most influential economists. This is what he has to say about AI and bots, because his career has really been focused on technology and how technology impacts the economy. And he says huge industries are going to reorganize themselves along the lines of autonomous intelligence. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. Huge industries are going to reorganize themselves along the lines of autonomous intelligence. Can you imagine what that looks like? Like, that's a bigger deal than social media. It may be a bigger deal than the internet. If you want a little glimpse into the future, think about right now the industries that are involved in transportation. You have the transportation industry, right? Which is taxis, buses, airplanes, airlines. Okay, but then there are manufacturers of those things. And then there is the sales industry of those things. Those are really three separate industries. And look at how one bit of AI, which is the self-driving car, look at how that has the potential to transform all of those industries, to completely reorganize them. Once we can have a self-driving car, and that's like something that we do on a regular basis, those things are on the roads all over the place. How does that change the automotive industry? Does a car manufacturer still follow the same business model of making cars, selling them through dealerships to end consumers, and expecting that every family in America will have a car? I don't think so. Dealerships may become obsolete. Automotive manufacturers are already building self-driving capabilities into their cars. Uber has kind of positioned themselves, and Lyft, to be the fleet of the future, right? But they may not get that opportunity. They may be cut out of that supply chain altogether. And so they may go away as quickly as they came into existence. These are questions. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, but we know that this AI technology is going to reorganize these industries. How is that going to play out in my industry, in your industry? How is AI going to cause those things to just reorganize? We don't know the answers, but what we want to do is train you on this webcast to be a wise voice in this conversation. There's great value, and if we think that we can ignore it, we can't. It's something that will be coming into our lives, and we want to capture the most value from it, be prepared for the changes it's going to cause, and ride that wave instead of get buried by it, right? So that's our goal here on these webcasts. So where are we today? According to this Oracle white paper, within the next year and a half, 80% of sales and marketing leaders will be using AI in some part of their work. Okay, in 1.5 years, 80%. It's coming fast. So, but really, sales and marketing, is that, like, are we serious about that? AI taking over sales and marketing? AI changing sales and marketing? That's like an art, the art of the deal, right? Always be closing, it's a relationship thing. Robots can't do that. Well, before we get into that, what that looks like and how we're going to experience the changes to sales and marketing with AI and bots, let's just look at a few definitions, okay? Now, this is the third time I'm going through these definitions. Some of you have seen these before. Bear with me, I'm gonna go quick, but for those who are on this webcast for the first time, we have to understand the terminology that we're using here and know what the difference is between these different terms. So I'm going to tell you the strict definitions, and you won't experience this level of strictness on, in other conversations, but that's okay. It's good for us to know what these terms actually mean, and when people are using them wrong, we can detect that, not so we necessarily have to correct them, but just so we can have a clear understanding of what the conversation is about. So machine learning is a simple concept with some very complicated math and statistics behind it. The good news for us is that to make business decisions with machine learning and AI, we don't need to understand the complicated details of any of these things. And the concepts are actually pretty easy to understand. Machine learning is just a computer program that has the ability to look at past data about past actions or past decisions, and use statistics on that data to make the best decision right now, the decision that's optimized for our desired outcome. So it's like learning from experience. It's a computer program that can do that. That's machine learning. And that's it. That's all machine learning really is. And so when you talk about a machine that gets wiser over time, gets better and better data, makes better decisions, machine learning is right at the center of that program. Now, artificial intelligence then is the ability to use this technology and other surrounding technologies in a way that mimics human intelligence. Okay, so it's not only machine learning, there's other technology involved, but with AI, we have a program that mimics human intelligence. And machine learning is absolutely crucial to AI. Without machine learning, there would be no artificial intelligence. And I'll refer to those as ML and AI from time to time. That stands for machine learning and artificial intelligence. Okay, so artificial intelligence mimics human behavior. Some good examples of this are natural language processing and image recognition. There are programs today that can have a conversation with me, understand my natural language. They could listen to me right now and know that I'm talking about machine learning and AI and have a relevant response. Okay, and there are programs that, as you know, I think everybody knows this today, they can look at a picture and say, hey, that's Andrew. Hey, that's a dog. Hey, that's a flower. Okay, those are artificial intelligence functions because that's mimicking human intelligence. Now, there are some people that say, if it's been done, it's not artificial intelligence. There's this, this kind of, the definition of AI is a little bit nebulous still, and there's one set of people who say, AI is anything we haven't done yet. So natural language processing, image recognition, that's kind of old hat. So that's not real AI, and I reject that definition. That, there's kind of a joke. AI is anything that we haven't done yet, if you listen to that definition. And the definition we use here is AI is a computer program that mimics human intelligence. Now, it's key to understand that these things are not magic. It's just computer algorithms. And like I said, you don't have to understand the statistics behind it to understand how it can add value to your business, to your industry, or to your life. Okay, so that's a key thing about this. And when you're talking about this at your company, There will be people who don't understand it and who are unwilling to move forward because they don't understand it. And this is the message that you have to deliver and communicate to them. So it's actually very simple. And you don't have to know the stats. You don't have to understand, the recommendation engine that's going on behind machine learning, or any of the different types of algorithms that could be running there. You just have to understand the business value. Finally, a chatbot is the most recognizable form of AI today. Okay, and so you've had interactions with chatbots in the past. Here are two examples: Cortana, Alexa, you've got Siri and Google Assistant. And these are the most advanced chatbots in the world today, probably, at least in my experience. They can have a conversation with me about the political situation in the Middle East, and they can tell me who won the NBA Finals. And that was actually something I had to ask because I didn't follow it, and it's like I don't think I really missed anything looking at the results, but they can converse with me, these bots, on a wide range of subjects. It means they're really smart and they have access to a lot of data. The good news is when we're implementing a bot in a business, in your business, you don't have to build a bot that has that broad range of familiarity and competence in conversation. It just has to be able to operate very effectively in a much narrower band of conversations. But there are a few attributes of bots, and we're going to go through those really quickly. You've probably guessed from these examples that bots are intelligent, they're conversational, and they're connected to data. Okay, and so number one is intelligent. They use machine learning, they get better at things so that they can interact with customers naturally and learn how to provide answers to increasingly complex questions. So they're very intelligent. Now, an example of a counterpoint, an example of what's not a bot. This is what a bot is not, at least not what we're talking about today. For many years now, you've been able to call like your bank, if you bank at a big bank, and have an automated voice response system answer the phone. And this response system would say something like, "Hi, thank you for calling the bank today. What would you like to do?" You can say things like, "Check my balance, make a payment, speak to a representative." Okay, that wasn't a bot like we're talking about. A bot is intelligent, and that was just a rules-driven, menu-based program. So it was really no different. It was just looking for a keyword and then taking me down a logical path. It was no different than me going to the website and clicking on a menu and choosing check my balance and going to the web page for that, right? There was no more intelligence in the phone conversation than in that web page interaction. That's not what we're talking about when we say bots today. Okay, they're intelligent, they learn, they can have natural language conversations, and they're also conversational. Okay, they have a text or voice interaction with a human being. Now I have some logos here on this screen to show some of the channels through which these conversations can happen. Most of these are text-based conversations, instant messaging applications. And these are becoming increasingly popular with the generation that has power in the marketplace today. And companies have to cater to these generations that would much rather write a little text message or an instant message than get on the phone and have a voice conversation. But bots can operate equally well in a voice-to-voice interaction as well. But they are always having a conversation. That's what bots are in our definition today. And finally, they're connected. The bot does not exist simply to chat with a customer. These bots are designed to do real work, looking up customer service cases, processing orders, offering upsells by using machine learning to reason over enterprise data. And the more data, the better. The bots can intelligently handle customer interactions and produce the best possible resolution. So when it comes to selling, now that we know what bots are, question is, can bots sell and can they market? Now there's a statement that is attributed to Jay Abraham, who was a marketing, like a pretty famous marketing guru back in the 90s. And it's been quoted so many times that I actually I could not find an original reference. And so I'm not even going to quote it directly here. I'm just going to say that it's attributed to J. Abraham, this statement, which is that there are only 3 ways to grow your business. They're mutually exclusive, and they're the only ways that you can grow sales in your business. The first one is you can sell your product to more people or get more customers. The second is that you can increase the amount of each sale or sell your customers more stuff each time. Or 3, you can increase the frequency of your sales. In other words, sell to your customers more often. All right, so you can get more customers, get them to buy more at a transaction, or increase the frequency of those transactions. And we're going to use these 3 questions to see, well, can bots help us do these things? Can chatbots sell? So, can bots sell your product to more people? Can they hunt? And we're going to go into a little bit of a clear definition of what we mean by this, but I'm going to start out just by saying at this point in the development of the technology, the answer is no. I know you're thinking like, wait, but I thought bots could sell, and they can. At least they can perform part of the sale. So a bot can close a sale. A bot can be, somebody who upsells and generates revenue in an ongoing relationship. But a bot cannot really hunt, to use the language of sales, at least not yet. Let's talk about what I mean by that and why that is. Because some people might disagree, and they may be right based on how we define this. I want to talk about, just for a minute, the problem of discoverability. Now, getting people to discover your business, to encounter your business, to know about your business, that's one of the biggest challenges that marketing and sales have to solve, right? How do we get in front of the people who we need to sell to? And that's the hunter's job. When you're a salesperson and you hunt, you're finding those people and you're creating those conversations. And there have been periods of time in our history where a new paradigm of interaction between customers and companies has provided a temporary boost in discoverability. And we had an economist on the slides earlier. We're going to talk about economics again for a minute here. It's a temporary boost in discoverability. And the perfect example of this is the App Store. So if you remember, anywhere between 2009 and 2011, it just seemed like the App Store on the iPhone or the Android, it was a goldmine, right? Any good app that got up there, like it became a $100 million company. You know, I remember apps like Foursquare just coming out of nowhere, and because they had an app in the App Store, everybody knew about them and everybody was using them, and like we got really dumb and started like checking in at places all the time. And it was just because the App Store was so powerful in its terms of allowing people to be discovered, because everybody wanted this new thing called apps. It was like a big shopping mall crowded with eager shoppers, but only a handful of stores. But of course, it quickly became overcrowded. It's basic economics. So the value of any technology-based competitive advantage will quickly, well, not quickly, but eventually go to zero, given that all competitors have equal access to that technology. And so apps are no longer like, if you build an app, there's a great chance nobody uses it today. And so we still have this problem of discoverability. Now you might recognize the irony of the picture I have here on this slide, right? How do you get people to download an app now? Or how do you get people to engage with you? There's still this discoverability problem, and we've gone back to traditional methods to try to enhance our digital discoverability, which is kind of backwards if you think about it. Sometimes it may work, but there's just some irony about a billboard that says, go find us on Facebook, right? It was supposed to be the other way around. But the key point I'm making here is that discoverability is still an issue. The fact that you're on Facebook, the fact that you're on the App Store, the fact that you have a bot, it does not solve the problem of how do you get in front of the people that you really want to talk to with your business, okay? So that's why chatbots can't hunt. It's no different with bots. Bottom line, you have to do your own hunting. Bots can't do it for you. Now, there are hopeful developments, okay? And it's not that AI cannot help you hunt. It absolutely can. It just can't do it for you. There are AI tools that help you identify accounts that you should be selling to. So you have 5 accounts that you've sold to, right? And they're your customers and they're great customers. There is AI in multiple tools, and LinkedIn is one of them. They have something along these lines where it can tell you, hey, those are good accounts for you. Well, you should be then selling and targeting these other 50 accounts. Here are 50 more accounts just like those that you should be selling to. And the smarter your AI is, the more it can offer good recommendations there. Instead of just saying, hey, that's a software company, you sold to them, you should sell to this one. It's like, look at the size, look at the type of product, look at the type of customers they serve. There are lots of data dimensions that AI could look at to help recommend the right kinds of companies there. Useful for a hunter, but it's not doing the hunting itself. Okay, and there's another technology that has recently been demoed that some people's minds will go to right now as I'm talking about this, and that is Google Duplex. I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, but the second thing that Jay Abraham says you have to do to grow your business is increase the amount of each sale, or the second way that you can grow your business. Sell your customers more stuff when they're buying from you. And can a chatbot do that? Can a chatbot upsell? Can a chatbot increase the order size? And the answer is absolutely. Bots excel at upsells and cross-sells. Connected to enterprise business systems, they can be trained to recognize the offers that are most likely to be accepted in any given customer conversation, from a customer service conversation or all the way to a proactive conversation that the bot initiates. Okay, so think about that. If a bot knows all the data on a customer in your enterprise business support systems, CRM, ERP, whatever else you have, if it knows that data and the data of all the other people in there, and it can create a pretty narrow profile for this customer, meaning this customer is like these other customers, but it's not 50% of your customer base, right? This is a small, narrow chunk of our customers, and they're all the same. They'll have a lot of similarities, and we've tried to upsell them stuff before. At some point, that bot can say, there's a 42% chance that this person is going to say yes if we offer them this right now. So a bot can do an incredible job at upselling. And when you consider the fact that there's no incremental cost to this transaction, other than the small portion of whatever IT utility it takes for the bot to have this short conversation, which is virtually nothing. So there's no marginal cost for this conversation. This becomes an incredibly persuasive argument for implementing a bot, because it can make sales for free. It can grow your business for free. It can do this second thing that we just talked about, sell your customers more stuff. And it's doing it without any marginal cost. So pretty powerful. Bottom line, bots are great at upsells and cross-sells. Okay, can chatbots increase frequency? Increase the frequency of your sales? Can they sell to your customers more often? And the answer, indeed they can. Just like the previous section about getting customers to buy more stuff, getting customers to buy more often is a conversation that happens with an existing customer. They've already agreed to communicate with the bot. And so the customer may be initiating a customer service chat with the bot, or the bot may be reaching out and proactively selling something to this customer. But in either case, the bot can sell here. And they may be selling a maintenance plan on the product the customer obtained through a previous one-time purchase. That would be getting the customer to pay more often. It may be offering discounts on a consumable good to the customer because they're consuming it too slowly. That would be getting the customer to pay more often. There are lots of ways that they can increase the frequency of sales. And the bottom line is bots can do this. And really, there's no difference for these last two ways you can grow a business. Selling your customers more stuff or getting them to buy more often. The bot is really in the same mode. It's the same type of conversation for a bot, and he can help grow the business. So customer service scenarios are low-hanging fruit for bots. We talked about that last week. They're repetitive, usually simple to answer, and expensive to handle with human beings. The sales scenarios are possibly even more interesting. With the ability to learn, bots can be a sales resource that just gets better all the time. So, the scenario of a bot selling for a company, it may not be for every company. I think every company in their sales process has ways that artificial intelligence and bots can enhance what's going on. What I've described so far, though, is really a bot handling the entire sale. And there are some companies where that's just not going to happen, right? It'll be a long time before bots are closing multi-million-dollar enterprise software deals or consulting deals or negotiating the terms of complex sales. But you know, for businesses built upon a base of repeat customers, whether those customers are just buying the same product over and over or traversing across a broad set of products or services, you know, the bots can be an incredible resource for automating sales. Some industries that fit this description are e-commerce, retail, hospitality, travel, and some sectors of healthcare, just to name a few. So I want to go into you know, the question of bots and humans and how they work together, and whether or not AI is going to replace the human workforce. Of course, you've heard this, right? And this is something that we are concerned about. And I want to kind of put your minds at ease on this topic. There are certainly jobs that are going to be changed or eliminated because of this technology. Just like there were jobs that were changed or eliminated when the internet came around, or when social media came around, or when the mobile phone came around. That will happen, and that's an inherent part of technology change. Our goal and our job as individuals in the workforce is to be relevant and to stay up to date so that we always have value to add, even if our job changes. But it's really like and so, for example, if I'm a taxi driver, I may not be in a great position when self-driving cars come around, right? So I need to be thinking ahead about how I'm going to adapt to that and where I'm going to add value. But it's really unimaginative. I mean, I think there are two types of integrations of humans and AI, right? And the unimaginative one is when we take a bot and replace a human in the workforce. We say, your job's not needed anymore because the robot can do this. Obviously, that's going to be part of this change. But the much more powerful and much more creative way of implementing AI in our lives is when we use AI to augment and to scale human labor. Okay, and watch for this as a theme in the remaining topics that I'm going to share, because it doesn't have to be one or the other. There are choices, and again, being wise leaders, it means making this choice at times. When we have a choice, do we choose to just simply take a job that a human does and have a bot do it? Or is there greater value in augmenting the human beings doing that job with AI? And I would submit that in many cases, the correct answer is going to be the latter. Okay? So, sales and marketing, how is that going to change? Now, I believe that we will see more merging of customer services and marketing functions as AI and bots enable deeper levels of personalization. There's really a lot packed into that statement, so I'm like going to pause here for a minute. But customer service and marketing are going to merge a little bit. They're never going to become the same thing, right? But as AI and bots enable deeper levels of personalization, customer service and marketing functions are going to become more similar and overlap more. Okay, marketing is what? It's making decisions to get the right experience to your customer, to offer the right experience to your customer. The right product, the right price, the right placement, you know, the whole marketing mix. What's our message? But at the end of the day, it's about offering the right experience to your customer. And customer service is simply what? Delivering the right experience to your customer, making sure that that experience actually lands right. So there's a lot of similarity, and as we can personalize the customer experience more, there will be a much tighter integration between marketing and customer service. That's my prediction. Okay, so let's talk about personalization just a little bit more deeply. And maybe as we do so, it'll become you'll start to have ideas about this and how you can personalize your business, and also why marketing and customer service might start to merge. We spoke about personalization last week during our meeting about how AI and bots are changing customer service. Because personalization is made possible by bots and AI and machine learning in ways that honestly have never been possible before in history. We're going to start to see a lot of overlap, and companies are going to start to be able to deliver much more personalized experiences. We've already got a generation of consumers now who expect this because of their online experiences with Google, Facebook, Instagram, Amazon. You can go onto Amazon, right? And like, how do they know that these upsells they're offering me at the bottom are exactly what I wanted? Wow. How I go onto Facebook and like, how is it that the whole world agrees with me in all of my opinions, never challenges anything that I say? It's because Facebook has personalized your experience, and there are political ramifications to that some people think are earth-shattering. But you know, that's a conversation for another day. But the reality is, Facebook has personalized that experience. All social media platforms do this. YouTube shows you only videos that you're most likely to be interested in, right? These consumers expect a personalized experience. And so, you know, marketing and by extension sales have known for decades that the key to success is creating a message that speaks to as small a group as possible about their unique needs and desires. That is the key to marketing success. Get a small group of people that are all alike and give them what they want. And a lot of times it's just not possible. Like in the 1920s, you know, in the age of manufacturing, in the age of industrialization, a company would have to, I mean, it was scale that enabled a company to be successful. So if you were making a hula hoop, I'm thinking about that movie, the what's it called, the Hudsucker, right? If you were making hula hoops, you just made hula hoops, and you made 2 million hula hoops, and you sold 2 million hula hoops all across the US. There was no personalization, and there was no segment. There was no, you know, we can serve this little segment especially well, and so we're going to target them. But over time, we've been able to do that, and it's because we have data today that we can do this personalization. And so all of this data here is kind of required for personalization, or this is the data that could help us personalize. And we need to pull it together to create a clear view of the customer so that we can offer that personalized experience. It's not enough to simply have that data sitting in the separate systems in the back end of our business. Now, customer feedback is red because it's often the hardest of all these pieces of data to integrate together. Oftentimes, we have customer service and operations and sales and marketing data in the same system or in two separate integrated systems. Often that'll be CRM and ERP, right? Customer feedback, not so. And so that's the hardest one to integrate. And as we'll see when we demonstrate some use cases in a few slides, bots are actually a great method for capturing the CX data and solving this problem. So at the end of the day, don't be overwhelmed by this concept of personalization, because the end game is not for you to offer some unique product to every customer. If I'm an ice cream company, my goal with personalization is not to offer every customer their unique flavor of ice cream that's specifically configured for their taste buds, right? That would be overwhelming. Personalization is about giving customers the right things from your existing offerings and delivering those things in an experience that makes them feel like you know and care about them as individuals. Goes a long, long way in increasing customer satisfaction, increasing loyalty, increasing customer lifetime value. There are so many benefits of doing this. So how do we do this? I mentioned a minute ago that, you know, the decision between replacing a human being with a bot or augmenting and helping that human being scale through a bot. This is a quick example on the screen here of the latter. So say, and it's also an example of customer service merging with marketing a little bit. Okay, so in this case, imagine that this guy on the left here is getting a phone call, and it's a customer service phone call. Now, instead of going through the normal motion of saying, hey, what's your problem? Oh, wrong department, right? Hopefully we're already in the right place. But over here on the right, we have these data systems pouring information about this customer into this bot, into this artificial intelligence, who this artificial intelligence is then able to immediately, at the beginning of the call, prompt this customer service rep to ask if they're calling because of a problem with the latest update to product X. Because the bot knows what's going on in the business support systems. It knows that there are complaints about this right now. It knows this customer bought this. Perhaps it knows that the customer bought this last week and it arrived yesterday. Whatever that data is, the bot says, hey, ask him about if this is the problem. Shave 5 minutes off your conversation while they complain to you, right? Just say, oh yeah, I already am aware of this problem. You're having the same problem a lot of other people are having. Okay, at the end of the conversation, the bot can say, offer them product Y for X dollars. The odds are 63% that they will say yes. Okay, that's not something that this human CSR could have done on his own or her own. Now, a lot of times in these call centers, they'll have upsells. They'll have an upsell this month. Like, hey, how many of these can we upsell this month? We're all upselling the same product at the end of every call. That is not as effective as a bot or an artificial intelligence that can say, this person calling, I know what they own. I know what problems they've had. I know their demographic, psychographic data. I know who they're like. And I know how often this group of people says yes when we offer this to them. Out of all the stuff in our product catalog, this is the one that's most likely to be accepted if I upsell it right now. That's powerful. Much better than, you know, everybody in the call center trying to sell the same thing and earn a spiff and, you know, keeping track of it on the whiteboard up front. There's no personalization in that, and sales rates are going to be much lower. So let's look at a few use cases, real life, how this would play out in real life. And when I say real life, these are hypothetical use cases, but things that we could do, and this is what it would look like in real life. So if you've been here before, you've met Michael. We're going to talk about Michael a little bit differently today, though. He's the same guy. He's a frequent traveler, and he's been the member of the loyalty program for Lux Suite International Hotels for several years. And Lux Suite Hotels wants to know more about Michael. And so there are a couple ways that they can do this. The traditional way is they can create a survey, right? And I want to point out something really key. Earlier, I mentioned the challenge of getting good CX data and integrating it with data from your other business support systems, which is required for good personalization of the experience. And this is hard to get that data properly integrated. So it's useful to do so, but that's only a part of the challenge of personalization, okay? Now look at your screen. Think about the way we collect this data in the first place. And there you will find another issue with our ability to personalize. When you design a survey for mass distribution to a large number of customers, you're already missing the boat. You're already missing the boat. Now, I'm not saying there's not valuable data that you get from that, but it's just not going to help you personalize your customer experience for anybody. It's the wrong method. This is why response rates are so low in the first place. I can't tell you how many times I've been presented with a survey, and I bet you've had the same experience. I've been presented with a survey that asked me a question that just doesn't matter to me. It has nothing to do with me. Or it asked me a question that is relevant to me, that I would love to answer, but it asked me to choose from a set of questions that aren't relevant to me, don't describe my experience at all, right? And so I may still answer that, and they'll get data in their database, but it's not going to be that good because it's not really what I wanted to say, right? Has that happened to you before? This kind of data won't help you personalize the experience because you're not getting the right data. You have to have personalized feedback and have a mechanism for getting it first. So let's see what that looks like. So here, Michael just stayed at a hotel, and on his way out, the bot messages him and asks him how his stay is, and he says, you know, he responds, and he mentions 3 things in this response. And the bot recognizes those 3 things because it's using natural language processing, so we can have this conversation. It says, okay, you mentioned 3 things. Can you rate those 3 things? Let's go a little bit deeper. Tell me about those 3 things. And in some channels, here we're kind of mocking up Facebook Messenger. In some channels, you could use these kind of controls in this conversation. So the bot presents these controls and says, hey, can you rate the view, the bed, and the room service? And the bed scores low, so the bot follows up on that. Sorry, the bed wasn't amazing. I'll take note that you said it was hard. So not only is he just rating it low, but it was hard. And the bot's gonna keep that information, okay? So it stores that feedback in the company's business systems, and this allows Lux Suite to learn valuable data about their offerings, such as how old beds can get before guests start to say they're uncomfortable, whether or not every guest feels like certain beds are uncomfortable, or if they're actually preferences, and they can start segmenting their customer base on those preferences. More importantly, it allows Lux Suite to understand what is important to Michael, so they can offer Michael the experience that is optimized for his preferences, such as giving him a softer bed the next time he stays at a Lux Suite property. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, next time, because we're connected to business systems, this bot can just automate the process of improving his experience on next check-in. The next time he checks in, the room he's assigned, out of all the available rooms at that property he's checking into, the room he's assigned will be optimized for what matters to him. Great view, softer bed, room service is the same for all the rooms. Okay. Now Lux Suite can also, and here's where we're merging customer service and marketing, again, like a little bit of overlap here. Lux Suite can also use this information to market to Michael, advertising certain brands or properties that have the best room service, for example. So you can see the ads, we can email him or show him display ads or both on the internet, talking about softest beds in the industry, our softest beds. Because we know that Michael, he's a member of our loyalty program, but we know that he's a frequent traveler and he stays at multiple hotel chains. Almost everybody does. So our goal is to capture as much travel share from Michael as possible, right? Now we can market to him and talk to him in a way that really speaks to him. Okay, so the breakdown here, we've got natural language processing. We're having a very natural conversation and understanding his intent when he responds. We're connected to CRM and ERP so that we can understand an issue in his experience and automate the improvement of the next experience. And we're capturing valuable customer experience data so we can improve future experiences and perhaps improve the offerings that we have available to give to Michael. Okay, use case number 2, Taylor, a millennial, avid exerciser. Now we've seen her before as well, but this is again different. We're going to talk about product catalog tuning. Okay, now imagine this company, they sell at scale. They're a consumer goods company. They sell nutritional supplements. They sell it through a call center. They sell it online, and this is their business. Now, if you look at this diagram, you've got sales reps selling to customers, and you've got data systems that are tracking those interactions. Here's the best way we can arrange this with the technology we have today with AI and machine learning. So you see an inbound and an outbound arrow there, right? Every time a customer has a conversation with one of these sales reps, we pass that data back, and machine learning algorithms reason over that data to determine the best possible action we can take next time, whether it was successful or unsuccessful. And then when that next time happens, artificial intelligence prompts that sales rep, this is what you should say. This is what you should offer. This pricing, this sequencing, this timing of offers, or any other dimension of the sale that you have data about. AI can then provide the proper offers for reps in real-time conversation. So similar to what I mentioned on the slide a few minutes ago, but it would look something like this. I know that the customer that this rep is talking to right now is in this W group of demographic and psychographics. They have this order history. This is what they've done in the past when we've offered upsells. And this is the perfect offer for them right now based on all of that understanding. Okay, so Taylor calls in asking for this deal that she saw advertised, and the rep says, yeah, let me check your billing and shipping information to make sure it's still right. And also, now notice there's the little blue bot now coming up there whispering in this sales rep's ear, so to speak. And he's saying, I know who this is. Offer her the carbo loader pre-workout powder for this price. Now, maybe that's the same price always. Maybe the price on that product is set. Or maybe this bot understands profitability, the percentages of upsells that will be accepted based on a certain price level, and it's going to optimize even this price for the greatest profitability for sales today. And so the sales rep makes the offer, and she accepts the offer, Carboloader pre-workout powder for $39.99. Notice that she also may say no here, in which case that data goes back to our machine learning algorithms and we refine it and try to make a better choice next time of what to offer. And so again, now the bot knows how to sequence offers. So there's another upsell we want to sell her. And based on what she just said yes to, this is what we need to offer her. And so the sales rep offers that. She says yes. And we've just increased order value from $9.99 to $69.97. Now think about how much more powerful that is than simply having a call center that offers the same upsell to every customer for the same price, in the same order, or letting the reps, you know, maybe you trust your reps and you're like, these are good salespeople, and you let them guess, right? And they're influenced and motivated by all kinds of things such as, you know, what they're familiar with, what they know how to talk about, what gives them the best compensation. There's so much more power in having this statistics, AI-driven approach to managing these conversations and selling and marketing on these conversations. Now, again, we have a CRM and ERP connection here. We're connected to all the past transactions with Taylor and many customers who fit that avatar, which we hope is fairly narrow. And there's machine learning, which is getting better and better at doing this and being successful every single time a transaction happens. So that's powerful. Now, as we close up here, I want to mention a really key point for you moving forward in your industry and particularly in your business. I've had conversations with people who, you know, they say, well, that's so complicated, I can't understand that. Like, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this and how it would work in my business. That's okay. You're not in a different situation than anybody else. I've also had conversations with people, or we've had these conversations here at JourneyTEAM with customers who have said, you know, that's awesome, and I would love to do that, but my back-end systems don't have the data to support that right now. And so the points I want to make, number one, is that you don't have to understand everything about this to move forward. And number two, you don't have to have perfect back-end systems. You can start today, you can start small, you can start with a discrete set of value that you want to create with artificial intelligence in your business, and you absolutely should, okay? Because the skills to manage this AI, they're going to require some development. It's something that will grow like a muscle at your company. There's no steroids for this. You can't just inject this into your company's veins in 5 years when you feel like, you know, now we're not, you know, we're at a more mature point in the development of this technology. It's a process, and you have to start here to get there. And if you wait 5 years, you'll be 5 years behind. And all of those things that you feel like you need to support this actually can come as you expand the use of this technology over time. So you have to start here to get there. So how do you do that? How do you get started? Well, a couple recommendations. Number one, don't be too slow and be a laggard. Okay, if you go too slow, you're going to get left behind. And there will be advantages that competitors in your industry have that you don't have and that you're struggling to catch up with. Because like I said, you have to start here to get there. But don't go too fast and be a visionary with no relevance. You don't have to create something that's going to turn the moon purple, right? You just need to focus on specific business value and obtaining that value through the use of this technology. And you can start small. So how do you do that? How do you start small? How do you identify the right scenarios? Well, number one, like any other business decision you make, look at where the highest business value is. You don't have to think about this as it's magic. Like I said at the beginning, there's a real return on some investment with AI. What is it and where is that going to be the highest? Get the right people involved. It's not just business and IT or IT, it's both. So it's certainly not just IT, because the business needs to have input into how artificial intelligence is used. It plugs right into the critical processes of anywhere that it's implemented. So they have to be at the table and get the help and develop the internal skills necessary to support. So obviously JourneyTEAM, that's what we're here to do, is to help our customers do that. So if you want help identifying the right business scenarios and understanding your technical stack and how it could potentially work with AI to address certain business scenarios, that's exactly what we have to offer you today. If you are at a place where you want to have a conversation about this, we are offering this free 2-hour AI and bot evaluation. And this is where we'll have some of our best team members, and we need your team members as well. So it can't be just you who are on this call today. Even if you're the CEO, we need multiple stakeholders from the different groups at your company in this conversation, where we can really get the information that we need to give you a report on how you're going to move forward with AI and bots, your best use cases, the greatest profitability, the best return on your investment, and how it could work with the technical systems that you have today. So there's really no risk to doing this. It's free, and you'll only get smarter by doing it. And so if you're in a place where that kind of conversation sounds meaningful to you, I'm going to put up our final poll here and just say yes to this poll if you want us to start having a conversation about setting up this meeting. And that's the last thing we're going to do, is we're going to close off the call now. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to stick around, but it's time for us to jump off. And so those of you who want to jump off, just answer the poll, and this call is over. Thank you so much for coming. Again, if you have questions, go ahead and type them into the chat box. I'll stick around and answer that. But otherwise, thank you so much. We'll be in touch with the follow-up to this, so look for that. And we look forward to any further conversations we can have with you guys.